Oh, there's too many of you that still think Vecna is the main villain of Stranger Things. I'm telling you he's not. There's plenty of evidence and proof to support that he's not, and season 5 will establish that he's not. But until then, allow me to explain. Okay, in the first Shadow stage play, it was established that Henry Creel, at a very young age, I'm talking younger than what we see in the flashback scenes from season 4, was temporarily transported to Dimension X, where he was infected by the dust particles. What did the dust particles make up, you say? The Mind Flayer. And when he returned, his slow descent into darkness, into becoming the Vecna that we know, began. Which means every time we see him doing extremely evil things like we saw him do in season 4 and like we see him doing here to Will, he is not the one completely in control. And how do we know he's not completely in control? Because season 2 very clearly established this when Will was infected by the dust particles and was under the influence of the Mind Flayer. In the beginning of his possession in season 2, there were parts of Will that were still there. He had not been completely taken over. But that changed later in the season as the Mind Flayer's grip tightened and Will became the spy. The Mind Flayer was the one in control. Remember when Will sent those Demodogs to unalive all of those soldiers? Did that make Will inherently evil? Did that make Will the villain of season 2? No, because it was the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer was able to exert that level of control over Will after what, a week, 2 weeks? Imagine the level of control it has over Vecna after decades. And listen, all of this is not to say that Vecna is not at all evil. Vecna has done some horrible, evil things, but ultimately those things were facilitated by the Mind Flayer's control, making the Mind Flayer the main villain of the series because the Mind Flayer is the entity behind everything. Everything from Henry Creel throwing Patty Newby, his love interest, off a stage in the first Shadow play, to Vecna taking all of the lives of his victims in season 4.